and welcome to the skating lesson. I'm Dave Lees.
And I'm Jonathan Byer. Hello, and greetings this time from Rochester, New York.
Rochester? They have that kind of, they have that little,
Yeah, it's not the most beautiful thing I've ever heard, but it's also very cold. And Dave, I'm here because I did a concert and I'm adjudicating an opera competition.
Yes.
One of the sopranos came in. She was a very lovely soprano. And the first thing she said is, I was watching you and Dave on TSL on my way up here. And
Did you say
like,
this in front of the other judges?
Yes, and one of the other judges also watches the skating lesson.
Did you know this ahead of time? This is amazing.
I knew the co-judge did, but it was a surprise from the contestant. It was very exciting.
I hope you gave her a couple extra points, in the components. Yeah. Just beef it up a little bit. Flattery works, yeah, exactly. Okay?
It really does, or does for me anyway.
It's like if someone says, oh my God, you look so young. Amazing. Amazing.
Thank you. In fact, you know what? Here you go. Here's a check.
Yes, absolutely. I just boost the components. An extra Jerry here, there. It's as though she was having a A-list coach at the boards. It's like when you see Marie France or Marina, and they've done well. Okay.
Or as we've heard about Yagudin, he always knew how to lay on thick compliments to each judge when he saw them in person.
I didn't hear that about you,
a nice tie-in with our 2002.
People are really liking it. There's some debate over the toe steps. Some people like them. Some people didn't.
Yeah.
We have a lot of comments.
Such is skating.
That's
skating, the joy of skating. Yeah, okay.
Well, there's a lot of, random news going on in skating. We've got a whole bunch, okay? But...
In your favorite color, red. Okay.
I know, I just picked it off. But, yeah. Well, earlier this week we found out that Evgenia Tarasova and Morozov, frankly, Vladimir Morozov, are going to be stationed in Naples. So they're in an army. No, they're going to be training in Naples, Florida, with Marina Zagitova, and Elton John will be coming in and out. That's Nina Mozer, if you've been sleeping for the last decade. Then she will be checking on their progress. And also...
I'm raising my hand. I was like, I have a comment, Dave.
Yes, comment, Jonathan.
I think this is some of the best news they could ever have. One, I think Marina is long overdue in the pairs discipline. Not since Gordieva and Grinkov have we really seen Marina work her pairs magic.
Didn't she have hate? I feel like people have gone to her for 6-month stints that haven't worked out. But the Denny's were with her, but the Denny's switch coaches every 18 months.
This seems like a real... it's going to be a real journey together.
And Kauskis was there. I don't know if she actually ever competed with that partner, but they were dating, and then she became British. But they were with Marina as well. Yeah.
And Marina would never let some of this Nina Mozer nonsense fly with the music, I think.
She will pick better music. I think we'll go straight down the Russian ballet middle. But she also...
And we should.
She also seems like she's good at psychology. I actually was... helping someone that's looking for a partner. And I said, you should really get in touch with Marina. Obviously, she's in touch with Elton John.
Everyone.
And, because when you look for partners, you have to go in the U.S., out of the U.S. You have to think, who's going to train me? All of these things. Also, Marina charges $76 per half hour. And which I think is pretty fabulous because I think she's worth every damn cent of that money.
Agreed.
But I was wondering,
although, Dave, I had to say, I thought that number might have been bigger until you explained to me the amount of half hours needed with Marina in a week.
Yeah.
It's not like you go to her for a half hour once a week and you're good.
No, you probably go to her for 2 half hours, or at least 1 half hour every day to 2. And then you also work with Johnny Johns, who's $60 per half hour. That's Marina's partner / coaching partner / husband / man that probably polishes her gold medals and kisses her feet appropriately, and other members of the staff. And she is building up there. And remember that Jim Peterson had the opportunity to team up with her, and then he kind of is, he likes to be in charge. But think about that. Now Marina is there, and Elton John is potentially coming in. If Elton John decides to take up more residence when she's ready to live the cush life in outside of Naples, Florida. Imagine how much he will be kicking himself.
Right.
Because not only you have John Zimmerman, think about how much Jim Peterson dislikes John Zimmerman, if we can really go back here appropriately. I mean, it's skating, so he's going to pretend to your face that he loves him, but when Jim was skating with Natalie Vlandis and they were going nowhere and they were in Lake Arrowhead, that's when John Zimmerman was with the Stieglers. That's when he was with Stephanie Stiegler. So he's always been that vaunted, elevated person that was two rungs above him in skating at the same time. And then they move from competitors to coaching, and he still has the higher ranked team, and we know how ambitious Jim is. That's like that thorn in your side, and you're like, why is this pretty man who can't even land his jumps constantly finishing ahead of your life? You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it would be like if Brian Boitano became like a prominent U.S. coach, and we always saw Brian Boitano like coaching against Brian Horser or something. It's that like it transcends
and constantly
even where you are in the career. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean that is just that damn.
That's got to be tough.
What am I saying?
That's got to be tough. But I've been to Naples, Florida. I sang there. There's a lot of manatees. It's kind of a fun place to be. Not to be confused with. We talked about this before, I think, when Nate sent his injury or we're splitting up email from Manatee, Florida. It was tagged as Manatee, Florida, and I'm obsessed with it. I'm obsessed.
I got really nervous when you were talking about manatees and pair skaters in the same sentence.
I said I would never. I was thinking of the Veggie Tales. They have a song called Barbara Manatee. Obviously, that's where I was going with that, Dave.
I think we need to save the manatees. What are we against? They're against boats, or who's hitting the manatees in the water again? I just think it's awful.
Everyone. Rogue swimmers. I don't.
You know what? My boss just went swimming with the dolphins, which, of course, I think in our heyday in the 90s, we all wanted that picture of ourselves, like, kissing the dolphins. I've actually never done it. But I definitely sent her, like, all of the articles and how that's just awful for the dolphins and made her feel terrible. She was like, we don't even go to the circus anymore. And I said, well, Lord.
And as Joan Rivers will tell you, you're just swimming in a dolphin toilet with them. Like,
oh my God.
It's pretty gross.
Speaking of Joan Rivers, my friend and I were randomly talking about QVC because we were talking about Lisa Rinna. By the way, I love a duster. Anyway, we were talking. So he was sending me clips of when Joan Rivers was on QVC with Kathy Levin. Ugh, these Fabergé eggs. Oh, this is how Marie Antoinette would have lived if she had money. You know, oh, the Fabergé. Oh, and like the women that would call up and be like, Joan, I own every one. Oh, that's fabulous. Fabulous. Do you have a Fabergé egg, Jonathan?
No, that one's the ornateness of those things is not so much into me. But I watched this great show called Raiders of the Lost Art, and they talk about all the original Imperial Fabergé eggs and how they like dispersed and how they're trying to like recollect them. It's pretty interesting.
I think we need a Joan Rivers Fabergé egg for the skating lesson. Like, I just think it would make complete sense in skating, right?
Absolutely.
Joan Rivers,
and now that you can skate to lyrics,
yeah.
Don't you think if you can skate to anything now, someone should just skate to a Joan Rivers routine?
Does anyone have Joan Rivers? I'm sure some skating fans have some Joan Rivers Fabergé eggs.
Maybe Johnny.
From the Imperial. I'm sure Johnny had the real ones. He seems like he's not fiscally intelligent. So I think he probably has the time.
Yeah.
I have a funny Johnny Weir story for you offline. Someone brought him up, but it was, you spurred that memory. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, John Nix also celebrated his 90th anniversary. There were some pictures that were floating around, and it seemed like everyone went except for Sasha. But Sasha was at some event, and she told Leslie Stahl, remember Sasha was interning at 60 Minutes for about as long as she was with any of her coaches. And Leslie Stahl told her that she sold out, and Sasha posted it. So that was a fun little nugget last night.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right. So Yuna Kim's show has been announced for Korea, and this is what I like about Yuna Kim. She
asked Mariah Bell to be a headliner?
No. She has so much star power. First of all, I have predicted this since... Okay, so when I saw that Yuna was going to be in Javi's show and that Sandra and David were being fabulous in Madrid, I said, oh, so you're going to wind up going to Korea. And you know how Sandra is.
I don't know. I would love to work with Yuna.
I think she's very talented. But if you've been friends with Sandra on Facebook, you kind of knew this was coming. First of all, there was a picture of them with David. They said that they were working with Yuna. They never said they were doing her show, but obviously. And then we saw that she posted that she was in Korea, and there was like a Yuna ad, and then now this is coming out. So this has been a slow... it's not been a real kept secret. So...
Yeah, she has many talents, but being a spy is not one of them.
No, Sandra's good at a secret. Sandra's good.
Oh yeah, okay.
It seems like Yuna's people haven't been really quiet about this, because I think if Yuna's people, with all of their power and potential financial upside opportunity, if they want you to keep something quiet, I think you were in the witness protection.
You would, yeah.
You'd be like,
exactly.
I didn't even know that Yuna skated. Correct? What?
Yeah. Who's Yuna? Yeah.
Didn't Mao win the Olympics? Oh, okay. But
amazing. What's
amazing is that if Yuna just like, whatever Yuna wants, Yuna gets.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay.
Yes. Because let's just talk about the A-list. She is dripping in A-list stars for this show, which she always has been, and I really appreciate. So she always had Alyona in the past, but of course Alyona is pregnant, so she's not going to be in the show this year. Not to disappoint. She also,
who would you get?
What?
Who would you get if you had to replace Alyona?
I mean, I would pick everyone that she had. I would add Tessa and Scott, obviously. They're not listed on this. But she has Papadakis and Cizeron. Obviously, she has Eunsoo. They're the same management company. Korea. We're building the next star. Javier Fernandez. Nathan Chen. Sui Han. I mean, kind of a baller cast.
Yeah, I would actually go to it.
Oh, I would go to it. I would not go to Stars on Ice. I would go to that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Typically, Lambiel was always in her show, which made me think that she was a person of taste, always. But he's not there right now. But who knows? That's just who's on the poster. We don't know who actually, they fill in those slots.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean people weren't invited but already had previous commitments of some sort either,
And also, so Sister Kwan was there doing some choreography this week, and she saw Yuna skating and said she looks great. Eunsoo is there training right now, and so is June was there just back home. And Brian has been, he was doing, he does that commitment in China with Tracy. Remember they had that whole press conference, so it looks like while his skaters are out on tour, he's going to be sharing his brilliance with the Chinese Federation. I really don't know what that adds being there for a week and a half or 2 weeks, but he's being really...
well, you always wonder when they just swoop in like that and give like an assessment, maybe a couple of tricks and Band-Aids, and then leave.
But what are you going to be doing during this period? This is the time when people are resting injuries, thinking about new music, getting new programs, touring,
do you think it's about training the coaches? Do you think it's about him showing some of those technicians and what they do?
It's much more for the coaches than for the... and also the Federation is getting all of their relationships in order, which always you want.
Brilliant.
You get Marie France on board. I'm sure they would talk to Marina for 76. Do you think she charges, so in a law firm, when they charge $300 an hour, if we were ever to respond to an email or to respond to a letter when I was a paralegal...
Hour.
No.
Yeah.
It's called a .2.
Oh.
So do you think if you're texting Marina, is that a .2? How much would that be? I used to love to
I think she's keeping track that way. I think it's about her time, not her attention.
It's called a .2. And even I, as a paralegal, would have my own rate for my work that I billed at. So 70. Oh wait, no, she's $152 an hour because obviously 76 per half hour times a .2. That's $30 to talk to Marina. I think she should charge a .2 for a phone call. No, a .4 for a phone call.
We'll Venmo her and have her come on.
Yeah.
Are you trying to figure this out in case she charges you for an interview?
I think to be in her presence. I think Frank as well, because he was about the same.
Yeah.
I think he should charge a .2. I'm all for it.
Why not?
I feel that everyone is so incompetent in figure skating and helping people find partners or find coaches. What I've learned over the years that Mitch and team are so useless, somewhat because they rule by committee. So what one person says, the next person isn't sure if they should go along with that. It's like working in corporate America. To get everyone on the same page takes months, and then if the message gets diluted down.
It happens even in like network television and stuff. And we were talking about earlier, then you get a product that's kind of cool, but now everyone also has to put their stamp on it and prove their validity and their opinion and assessment of it. And then it gets diluted, and then you have nothing.
Right, because when
you have nothing that's worth it.
For my marketing research class, I did a whole project on Netflix and about how brilliant it was when they were first building it. Now they kind of accept anything and everything to keep the subscribers coming. But when they were developing their earlier shows, they really used all of their data to really shape the casting and the tone and the directors for the first few really mega hits that they had.
And it was much more our generation, I think, which is why our generation really goes there first. I don't really watch television anymore. Yeah.
So before they had the Disneys and the HBOs and everywhere, they had their pick of the litter. But also, they really developed things with data, and they use things like, the fact that people are watching Mad Men, we're going to cast those actors in shows and that kind of thing. But when Will and Grace was coming back, I thought, that would be perfect for Netflix. They can edge it up just a tad and have it be just a little bit darker. But then it went back to NBC, and of course they dilute it, and it becomes
and comedy by committee, and it's just, and then appeals to no one.
And then
because it's trying to appeal to everyone. Yeah.
I didn't even really watch the Adam episode. I think I saw clips of him. He looked cute, but I didn't see the overall episode. So I watched a little bit of his YouTube channel. People have asked us. It's been nice. I think it's an interesting venue if they can make it done. It looks well produced, but he didn't say anything super interesting. I don't know. Like it's fine. It's good. I think that it's a good venue for him, and I think.
But it's generic in scope, isn't it?
I mean, I think it'll be good. I didn't know who the first person that he interviewed was. I don't. She's a late night host now. There are so many late night hosts. I don't know exactly who she is. I'm not sure if she's taking over for Carson Daly, maybe. But I wasn't. Look, I'm not up that late, so I don't know who the person was. There are literally so many people in the media. It's hard to keep track of who everyone is. But he looks like well-done broadcaster. The techniques that he was using were advanced, and he looked charismatic. He's clearly going for more TV entertainment route. He's not even doing Stars on Ice right now, which shows you that he can afford not to do it.
Right.
So I think that it's a good strategy
again,
building what
like
he wants.
We've said,
so
he only has a certain window of opportunity for fame outside of skating, so he has to take it now. He could probably get a Stars on Ice tour a couple years down the road if he needed it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But this is only available to him now.
The interesting thing is, so in other sports like diving, there are a couple of skaters who, and sometimes they have what I consider a strategic marriage. So you have Tom Daley, who is gay married to Dustin Lance Black, even though there are constantly sexting scandals because they're probably in an open marriage. And stuff like that will break. But obviously Dustin works in entertainment. Tom has a YouTube channel where he gets millions of views because obviously they probably strategize to get him with the right people. And then he knows how to do that, and he can make a big second income doing that and make other opportunities. So I think that there is the potential on YouTube for someone like Adam. It would have been interesting if he did it while he was competing, but I'm sure that U.S. figure skating would have freaked out and cut all of the fun out. Right. And now that he has bigger agents and not just the skating agents,
people,
they think bigger, and I think that that's
important.
That's why you need a Marina advocating for you when you are a person like Meryl or someone that can put Mitch Moyer in his place, or put the Canadian Mike Slipchuk in his place. They can just be like, shut up. And
this is bigger than you.
Yes. Let me go talk to the Russian judge. Do you think she charges a 0.2 when she is calling her old friends who have connections to the judging panel?
I think it should be a lot more than that.
Like when Katsayev's wife...
You think she'd be like, I had to talk to him for an hour to convince him that you were good. So that's the full 70s.
Yeah,
or the
you
full
think she could call Alla on the phone, or I'm going to go to Russia for holiday for Dhaka, and I'm going to go visit Alla Shevhovskaya. What do you think Marina does?
Dave, maybe she put secret messages in Joan Rivers' Fabergé eggs.
So Joan Rivers said that she would write them in Cyrillic on the inside of the Fabergé eggs. So
You mean print out a type thing? Could you imagine Jones?
So back in the day on the internet, that's funny that you mentioned that, because back in the day on the internet, there was a guy who had started a newsletter for gymnastics, and he uploaded it to the internet, and it was like in the very early days. It was called like Flying with Squirrels. But anyway, he worked on this. Manuscript with Shelley Stack's mother, which I don't know anyone who've actually bought this book other than diehard fans. But one of the things they said is that when Jackie Phi would come in to kind of monitor the gymnasts or like mock judge them, and she was the top U.S. judge, that they would always have to like buy her gold necklaces and stuff like that. Like they couldn't pay her, so they would buy her gifts. I'm sure the same shit happens in skating, and the parents would be like, we had to fork over $200 to buy her like a gold necklace, and I think that seems really appropriate. And you know what? You may have bitched about that, Mrs. Stack, but Shelley got onto the Olympic team with bent legs on her back handspring, back layout, step out. So I think that it worked. Okay? Bella
I'm going to have to go with you on that one, Dave. Yeah, it's like, okay.
So when Olive visits you,
or
when Lori Parker comes, I think we get her a necklace, right? Look, the Skating Club of New York got Sarah Hughes a gold medal, and Emily Hughes to the Olympics. Now, these are two girls who have really positive self-esteem when everyone else in skating has been beaten down. I think their families and their coaches told them how great they were, and they were the only ones not super messed up in the head. But the Skating Club of New York, I heard that Lucy Brennan was the real person, the power player of that. So I think that you buy them a gold necklace, right, when they come in. I think if I were a skater right now, I would definitely represent the Skating Club of New York, because they are power players and ballers. Like, they can get you with who you need to be to win.
Okay.
I think Adam was a proud New Yorker living in California. So was Grant Hochstein. He got to the Worlds one year. So I would be a proud New Yorker like the Shikitanis. Okay. Anyway, these are fun political things that make not a lot of sense to the mega fans.
No, but yet make a whole bunch of sense, don't they? Okay.
All right. So, speaking of gymnastics, USAG hired someone that lasted for 4 hours. Now, there's all this speculation because Simone released a tweet about what? And people think that Simone got him fired. Now, what we've been hearing is that he had some sort of mega inappropriate connections, of course, where this was sort of not vetted. So it's another scandal. There was the documentary.
They just can't get it right.
They can't get it right. And of course,
what is the problem? What would you do there?
I don't know. The problem is that people are at the fatigue point where they want change, but they also want improvement. So they're like, why are we going to fire everyone? And they're at the point where everyone is exhausted. But then, you know, the documentary was on last night about the gymnastics situation, and they said that Michigan State was told about Nassar 17 times. 17 times when they didn't do anything. So there's not really an easy situation. I think you have to start. I think you have to start anew. I think, look, this is not.
Yeah, you just got to do it all over again, because what it seems from the outside, and you obviously know much more about what's happening and the, you know, the culture itself, but it just seems like they keep making like Band-Aid choices and pulling from the same pool, and it's just going to be more of the same endlessly, right?
And because there's somehow I got tagged on something. There were crazy people tweeting us last night, but I think that you need some people from gymnastics, some people outside involved, and don't talk to the media ever. Because the new president was trying to talk that she saw Dr. Oh, God. And she spoke out of turn, and they're still, like, mad at the Indy Star for going against them, and they've made some bad moves with each and every presidency. So it seems like they're...
oh, my God. Could you imagine being mad at the paper that reported all of this horribleness as if it was their fault?
They didn't invite the Indy Star to her first press conference. So you already started off on a bad foot with the paper that has reported on you.
Right.
It's just like one...
Where let them be the paper that now exonerates you in your new journey. You know what I mean? But it's like, oh gosh, these organizations are so backwards.
Yes. All right. So let's move on because we have some other interesting news. So, so Gabby Daleman was acting... She was acting out on Instagram again. And I don't know who tweeted her or anything, but it was just like really I think, alarming. And then she said she was going to be off Instagram, but she said that before. But the interesting thing about this, to me, that I think makes this relevant, because I don't know how worthy it is to talk about it and give, even if she's looking for negative attention or whatever, is that we heard that the day that she had this kind of long episode on there is when Lee Barkell put in his resignation for the cricket club. Now, if you're someone who likes attention in skating, you probably like the fact that Brian Orser is with you in the Kiss and Cry. And it seems like the club has been afraid to cut ties with her because they don't know which way she's going to
But they're
move.
Also keeping her at an arm's distance. I mean, we talked about this in the World's recap, even to see her constantly try to grab Brian's hand, and you can see Brian's like, whoa.
Because I think
he's
they're
much
afraid,
more a stranger up there.
I think they're afraid of what she'll do if they try to cut ties, right? Is she going to... Right? So the interesting thing there is that Lee Barkell is leaving. He got an offer at the Granite Club. We know that. It's unclear if he accepted. Also, we found out that Meagan and Bruno, and we'll talk about this, are going to Oakville to start their own school. Remember, they had a offer to go to Jim Peterson's rink in Florida. That has been a big buzz because that rink, the owner of Jim's rink, is Canadian. So there's been all of these coaching shifts happening. Like, the Toyota Center is trying to recruit a high-level coach to come in. They've talked to Tom Z off and on over the last years. He and Tammy, as we predicted, not getting along. So, and, he kind of is being pushed out of the Vincent situation. And it seems like he pushed out of the Camden situation and perhaps the Yu Young situation. So there's all of these shifting coaches, musical chairs going on. So, Lee Barkell is up in the air. So now remember, he is actually Gabby Daleman's main coach. Brian was only the secondary coach.
A figurehead, yeah.
Figurehead. So, and it seems like when she was adding to the training situation, she was welcome there. But now, that seems like a situation where everyone is like, I don't know what to do. I imagine we're hearing that she will be going with Lee Barkell wherever he goes, because that is her main coach. So I think that this is kind of the cricket club's way of dealing with the situation.
Remedying that situation, yeah.
And we also heard, the more interesting news to me is that, and this makes so
not
much sense.
Not everyone's following him, yeah.
Gogolev is already with Raphael, which to me makes perfect sense because Gogolev's parents split with Orser because he was traveling a lot and not paying enough attention, and they wanted their junior to get the A-list treatment. And he is a young prodigy. He is a prodigy who is at the point where he's deserving of a high-level coach. He is with Raphael. And to me, this makes so much sense because, remember, Nathan was the original Raphael prodigy in the U.S. He had Alexander App before.
Right.
And to me, Gogolev is kind of... he's not quite as good as Nathan, but he's kind of the next Nathan type. He can do all the quads. He's got the ambitious parents. He's got the goods. And do you think this is a good move for him?
The minute I heard it, I was like, oh, of course. I think it's just such a smart move on the parents. It's like they have literally seen the trajectory of someone who's doing so well, who was in a similar-ish position at his age. It makes total sense. In the same way, Tursunbayeva going back to Itiri, or kind of like, yeah, I see that. It's the exact move. It's choice.
And I think it'll actually help him. I think it'll help him choreographically because Raphael has shown such an affinity, has obviously a long-standing relationship with Jeff Buttle and with, it seems like Shay Lin has worked with a lot of his skaters, and Gogolev has kind of had the jumps, maybe not the aggressiveness, but he's kind of had programs that were like beige paint, and I think that he is in dire need of some personality on the ice, and I think like Jeff Buttle could give him that little bit of age-appropriate personality on the ice. So
even Shay Lin. Shay Lin could do some fun thing. I think it will be fostered in a in a good way. I mean, again, I don't think we're in any danger of having like the next Shoma or, Hanyu artistically there, but I think that he could still, just with better programming and better packaging, just make a huge
So I
leap
think
in
the Canadians
PCS.
will be shocked by this, like the ones that tweet and think that Tessa and Scott are dating. I think they will be shocked by this, but I think that it makes perfect sense, because if you were with the A-list coach Brian Orser, you don't leave him and step down to leave Barkell long term. That's just a placeholder. That's to get you through this season.
Right.
And then I think Lee Barkell is a fine coach, but he does not have the pedigree of Brian Orser or Raphael. I think you go to the next hot thing.
Right.
And Sui and Han have also been in California working with David Peltier on stroking and power. So that's also interesting. They're spending the summer there. So until June, I think. So maybe until Yuna's show. So,
and is that who you would have gone to do that? I wonder how David kind of got that reputation as being the one to go to for them.
I don't know, but he, I think obviously he's involved with Kachi Gordieva. They've been together for a while. So I think I'm sure that they have gotten tips.
Yeah, just lineage, yeah.
I mean, if you were Sui, wouldn't you want to just pick Katya's brain from time to time, have that
exactly.
point of view?
Yeah.
So I think that rink is also going to have, obviously Alexa and Chris are there. So they've brought in, I'm sure Katya has given them feedback. I'm sure Robin Zolkowi is working with them. They have Jenny and Todd. And Frank has also been working with Alexa and Chris. And I know that Chris has been landing his triple sow, at least. I'm sure they're working on the triple toe. And it looks like they're coming back. So I imagine that rink, they're at least going to have more top skaters that will seek that place out over the future. So,
yeah, they're clearly trying to create something of impact down there. There seems to be a push more recently to really grow that.
And that's why I think that the Toyota Center is really reaching out to high-level coaches. I think they should get Aliona. That is my...
Oh, that would be a huge get for anyone.
Could you imagine Aliona and Robin coaching in California,
yes,
probably mile-wise, not that far apart, but in LA traffic, hours apart. But still...
exactly.
Fascinating. So, yeah, I'm all about that. Interesting. Alyssa Liu.
And now, what about...
Oh, I'm sorry. Who were you going to ask about?
No, sorry, my internet's going in and out. Go to Alyssa Liu, because I know we'll get to Mervin.
So Alyssa Liu was, one of the main speakers at Governing Council last night. And to me, that is just so emblematic of U.S. figure skating. They have someone who's done what... Look, she is a great up-and-coming talent. She's all they have other than Nathan. But do you think that why are we putting all of the effort and all of the... if they mess this up together for her... Look, they had Michelle Kwan phone in a question, and I know it's a feel-good story, but she hasn't even gone on the Junior Grand Prix yet. Really... Slow your
But
roll.
also, it's the Governing Council, not like a dog and pony show for People magazine. Come on, we don't need Michelle Kwan to call in with a fake question
about
this
what her father has meant for her. What are you going to say? Such a hard question.
Real rich question coming from her. Okay.
It was just, I love Michelle, but
well, again,
Michelle
I'm sure
is
she
not
was
known for
told what to
being
do.
particularly revealing. Okay, she would. Yes.
Yeah.
She's the kind of person that responds with a good emoji. With anything.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Thumbs up. Yeah.
So yeah. Other news: Karen Chen, you were going to bring up, is officially announced that she's going to Cornell. Again, the Yuna thing, she kind of changed her Instagram. Then we saw a picture of her at Cornell. She went to Cornell Days. So the one thing about Cornell, I went to school in Ithaca. I did a lot of stuff at Cornell because in journalism, I took a class where we had to do, it was a little bit of an insane class, but we had a daily assignment and a weekly assignment. And the thing with the daily assignment is they didn't let us know before we signed up for the class that you would get assigned something at 10 in the morning and have to produce a story by midnight. So if you already had classes scheduled, that was a bit, you were SOL.
Yeah.
And the dean taught that class, there was a lot of drama. And in one infamous day, I raised my hand and voiced my opinion about how this was all going for everyone. this experimental.
Right.
But we did a lot of things at Cornell, and I could tell you that there's a lot going on there. I think it's going to be really difficult for her to compete at a high level. There's not a great airport situation. You'd have to go to the Syracuse airport, which is an hour from Ithaca. There is this tiny-ass airport. Difficult. There's like a...
And everyone's going to bring up Nathan Chen. Put it away. Nathan Chen was a national champion, was several times. He was the world champion before he did all of this, and all of his ducks were in a row before he took what was still a risky move. So now we're talking about someone who has been entirely unstable competitively for a while and isn't solidified really with a coaching situation, a technique, a style, and now you're putting this on top of it, and I just don't understand. And after the shenanigan about not pulling out in time for Russia, I don't understand, unless she just wants to go to nationals. I don't understand.
There are obviously coaches in Ithaca, and that rink does have skating, and there's another rink in the area as well. But it's not suited for elite training. There is a great hockey team, obviously, at Cornell, and they will have off-ice trainers and things like that. But
that regimen for figure skating is so specific.
And there's going to be no one else there of a high level. It's going to be obviously very easy to get out of motivation. She'll be away from the parents and Tammy, if either of those have contributed. But she's obviously not going to be getting better. I think that people have a really hard time saying that they're taking a year off or going to retire. And I imagine, and in the nicest way possible, I think that, yes, she will have new programs, but this will be another transitional season where all of a sudden we withdraw from events. Or go to events and finish poorly and then don't go to nationals. Like, I don't see this being a successful juncture.
A season-long commitment, yeah.
Also, you got into Cornell. That is a really difficult school. It's one of those Ivies where it's easier to get in, and then when you stay in, it gets super intense. And there's horrific weather. It starts snowing in October. Snowing, sleeting, raining all the time. It is so cold. You've got the lake effect wind. You've got the lake effect snow. Not the most pleasant place on the planet. It's very Gothic architecture, very dark. It's one of the suicide capitals of the world. I'm just saying, I don't think this is going to be like super easy peasy for competing in figure skating.
Right. And she is skating to very emotional pieces. They announced that it was going to be that.
Jonathan, people drive all over the state to jump off of the gorges. I don't think this is...
Yeah.
What is she skating to?
The first one was called You Say, not the Lisa Lowe we were singing, but this other one that's very much like She Used to Be Mine, or whatever the Waitress song that Gracie was skating to. And then the other one sounds like kind of massage music. It's something from The Secret Garden, I guess. Illuminations or something.
I mean, is this music we should be skating to around natural gorges? I think if you're going to be around the gorges, you need to be skating to The Greatest Showman. I'm just telling you, when it's that dark every day.
Something up, not, yeah, exactly.
You need to invest in a lamp, even if you think it might be too much money. One of those natural lighting lamps. Vitamin D supplements. And caffeine, water, and prayers. I think.
And bright colors and happy music. Yeah.
It's rough. People get really moody in Ithaca, especially because there are a lot of artsy people. It's a really interesting town, Jonathan. You'd love it. There are a lot of vocal performance majors at the Ithaca Conservatory.
No, I'm aware of it, this school.
I just mean the Ithaca school because it's very specialized. Like, they have a couple schools that are very specialized, and then there are, like, the random hippies. And then the town has its own currency. It also has its own... it's actually really great as a journalism student to write about. I was sent once to a socialism potluck for a political candidate. I was supposed to cover that for the Ithaca paper.
Except you just had to bring all your money and share it. Oh.
Jonathan, the candidate didn't show up to their own fundraiser because he got his car the night before he ran into a deer. But he didn't let anyone know. It was just really fast. We wound up not running that story, but I wanted to kind of run it, that I was at a F-list political fundraiser and the candidates didn't show up. I thought that would be a great story. But
yeah, exactly. Look at what Karen Chen has done in this knowledge about Ithaca and a little insight into Dave's upbringing.
I also we were going to, because back when I was first starting at Ithaca, it was really, it's been such a place of academia and very organic, very local business, happy, everything almost like a utopian society for people that love to, eat organic and read local papers and the New York Times and just be maybe a little bit out of touch on their wind farms, right?
Okay.
But then Walmart was coming in. There was a bomb scare in the Walmart. Someone called that in. Then they were going to get a big, a multiplex cinema, like a movie theater. And we were covering this because there's a local independent movie theater, and they were outraged, saying it was going to put them out of business. And the people went up in arms, Jonathan, about that this was going to put them out of business. How dare you? This is the man coming in, ruining the beautiful town of Ithaca and all of its culture. I mean, this is the perfect hot mess of a community for Karen Chen to be in. I just think about, where is she going to get her skating boots? How is she going to get them fixed? Is Raj going to come down from Canada to take selfies with her? I mean, what is going to happen? This Karen Chen play, I can just picture it, Jonathan. It is so flippin' perfect for Karen Chen.
Okay. Okay, and that's from an insider source to the area.
Yes.
Okay.
Big time fan of Ithaca. When I was there, they're not there anymore, but there was also a cult that ran this place called the Mate Factor downtown, and they wouldn't serve coffee, but they would serve mate tea. And while they were getting, fixing your tea, they'd be trying to recruit you to their cult meetings. And they also recruited people at Grateful Dead concerts. So this is just a really interesting community for Karen Chen to be taking part in. And I'm all for it.
Okay, great. Okay. Best of luck.
Best of luck. I think it's going to go really well. I think Tammy's going to be FaceTiming her. They were sad. I'm really good friends with Nathan. Got advice on that.
Yeah, it's for sure. Twinsies.
How many events do you think she'll withdraw from? Over, under?
Any that she's given. Because how many will she be given? I'm going to guess she's given a senior B and she's going to withdraw from it, and it might end there.
I think she'll get at least one Grand Prix, right?
You think she's going? I don't think she's going.
No, but I think she'll be awarded a Grand Prix because she probably has enough points still.
That's criminal.
But remember how this works. So I think she would still be awarded a Grand Prix, and I think she will be on edge until the last moment to see if Karen will actually show, because that's what her career has given us so far.
And that they make her at least cancel in time so they can send their supplementary choice.
Remember, she didn't cancel in time last year.
I know. I think that has to be within the framework of their arrangement with her this year.
Also, and as nice as Karen is, her interview made not a lick of sense. And Rachel Lutz, she doesn't really dig in. But she was like, I was off the ice for 2 months and then getting back. And it was like, wait, when were you off the ice? And when were you injured? It was very unclear about why she didn't compete and what happened.
Right.
The timeline was just off. Yikes. So I also heard an interesting tidbit is that Ting has been getting programs, but Ting is off the ice, and because she had a high ankle sprain, and her physical therapist actually took her skates from her so that she couldn't go to the rink, but she wore her old skates as she's getting choreography. So that seems like it's going to go really well.
Oh my gosh.
In the short term as well. So
who's doing her programs? Do you know?
A Russian.
Sorry, I didn't know if that was part of
No. I actually know this information.
Okay, so, the real story was just that she's still defying her doctors and skating. But at least she's not jumping, maybe.
So typical when you have a skating parent. Wait. The person's name is Natalia Kozova.
Mishkichanak.
Don't know.
Okay.
Don't know.
Okay.
Also, I will insert your thoughts on Hubbell and Donohue skating to shallow, because we did tell you in real time. But let's break this down.
Uh-huh.
I've thought about it.
Okay, I know you have. You predicted it.
The part of this that I don't like is that these movies have a really brief shelf life, right? Like, A Star is Born was a fun movie to see in the winter, but it didn't have any lasting relevance, resonance,
yeah.
right? Like, Chicago was super well done, amazing, won Academy Awards, was just, like, off the charts fabulous, and then people use it for a short program. A Star is Born, La La Land, they've been kind of that nice movie that we saw in the winter, and it was nice for a time, and then it was over. Just like The Greatest Showman, it was done, right?
Right.
The people in skating, it's almost like it's all they have. They keep bringing it back. They want to see Ashley.
Well, Great Gatsby, even. Great Gatsby is used far beyond
its shelf life,
like lasting
right?
power. Yeah.
Right? It was not a Gone with the Wind. It was not The Sound of Music. It wasn't a historic film, right?
Yeah, it wasn't.
Now, for them, had they done this, in all seriousness, if they want to use the music, I think they should have used it as their exhibition for the world, for Stars on Ice. And then maybe someone would post it, they would tag Lady Gaga, she'd retweet it, you'd get 1,000 more followers, and it would be a happy day. Maybe you'd get mentioned in a couple of blogs, you get some more followers, maybe a sponsor out of the situation, and you could have a nice moment that's current in social media.
Well, I thought you were going to say something else.
Okay.
Because I thought you were going to say this all would have been fine if they had done that this season.
Well, that's what I meant.
That's
what I mean. Like, they should have used it as their... It was obviously too late to do it as a program, but they should have used it as their exhibition for
Not if they were hunting like they're supposed to.
Yes.
If they had known ahead of time... Don't you remember Tara getting all that music to Anastasia?
Yes.
Like, before?
And don't you remember? Yuna Kim did Les Miserables the year the movie was out. She knew it was coming out, and she used the score to Les Mis ahead of time.
You have to hit at the same time.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're TSA, and now we all take our shoes off because one time someone did something with their shoes. It's like, it's too reactionary. If you're going to be current, it actually has to be in front of it. Like you're saying, because it won't last long.
When Yuna did Les Mis during the season, it was elevating. When Chalk and Bates used it the following year, it was a snooze.
It was already done.
It was done. We were so sick of Anne Hathaway. We were so sick of Les Mis. We had watched it.
And in some ways, we forgot it happened. We're like, oh, right, yeah, that Les Mis movie thing. If you're not literally on top of it timing-wise.
It's just about the timing. Because it's not... Look, it could be a good piece for them. It would have been great for them for this season. I really do believe that. By the time it gets to next year... The moment of relevancy has already passed to where it's no longer as effective. It's like,
Yeah, because then when that moment became so viral from the Oscars or whatever, when they were singing together, and their program was right there to look up underneath it, like, yes, this would have done huge.
And Gaga totally would have retweeted them in the moment.
Right. Yeah, now she won't. But who knows?
Yeah. I mean, it just feels a little bit typical of skating.
It phoned in a little bit.
I think it'll be okay. I don't think that they're going to move ahead because of this music choice. I think it'll be fine.
At a point when they really needed to make an epic program that would probably be one of their like long-lasting ones to solidify them as number 2, because I could see number 3 become number 4 in no time.
So I have a friend who's super into pop culture and all of this, and he said, you just know their twizzles are going to be the part where Gaga's like, ah, like when she does the vocal modulation during the piece. So, I'm on the shadow. You know where it's coming. Like, you know where everything is going to be placed in this program. They're going to have to add something else to it.
Right.
It's kind of, but it's so typical because, like, the first person to comment about it, one of the first people was Ashley Wagner. And it just seems like, couldn't you picture, like, Hubbell and Ashley just, like, hanging out Stars on Ice, like soaking up each other's like basic ideas. It's just so part of that culture where we sell mattresses on Instagram and think that people are going to buy them. Like, it just misses the mark in the same way consistently. It's
that everyone else sees.
It's what Ashley would skate to this year. It's exactly
same thing. La La Land a year off, and quite frankly, just a couple months off too. But
also, remember when Ashley was on the show the first time and she was talking about how Sasha Cohen was skating to Hey Big Spender, and she would see her rolling around on the ice in her Stars on Ice exhibition number when she was like washed up and would be rolling around. Ashley Wagner is officially rolling around on the ice in Stars on Ice in her exhibition this year. I'm just telling you, the world comes full circle.
Yeah, it always does.
But in competitive news, Rika Kihira is gunning for it this season.
She really is, yeah.
She has seen Tursunbayeva, and she's raising her a triple axel and a quad. And she is going to do a triple axel in the second half as well.
Her second triple axel of the free in the second half. Now, it's interesting. We saw her training. We saw footage of the quad sow and the quad toe.
Yes.
Has she announced which one she's going for?
No. And I imagine the rotation will be we'll be looking to the last possible second.
She's going to land it. Yeah.
As we do with all ladies quads, other than like a Tanya Harding. So I think that will keep...
And speaking of Tursunbayeva, she announced her free skate music to the Sanson, the Danse Macabre, which, I mean, fine. It's very Atiri, as is Trusova's free skate to Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones is exactly what I would predict for Trusova. And of course, all of the gays are going to go crazy for it because they love Game of Thrones, and Trusova has zero femininity on the ice, so it fits her, and she can... Winter can be coming in the middle.
Be a warrior.
And we are not going to care for it at all. Manuel Pablo Arnero will love it and can't wait to see it. And we will just be like, I mean, it's just up there with her fighting the aliens. I mean, really.
Correct. So, there you go. And, oh my gosh, my poor Kolyada doing Chaplin. I can't even. You try to stay with him, Dave.
And also... He's obviously not making the move to Raphael, which obviously opened the door for Gogolev to go to Raphael. It's going to be more of the same.
Big mistake for Kolyada. Yeah, it's too bad.
To watch him skate to Chaplin, oh, God.
I'm pulling for Alia. Let's see what happens.
I can't take a Chaplin program again, Jonathan.
No.
It would be like, who's going to skate to Phantom this year? Tara Kane?
Oh, I'm sure... Probably.
Also, Shallow, like the 5th place Delilah team is using Shallow. Danny and the blonde, whatever her name is, they are going to skate to Shallow by Hubbell Donohue. What is her Anika? Okay. Whatever her name is, the blonde that skates with Danny Neubauer.
They're all like,
they're all Colorado. You know what you're going to see.
Yeah, exactly. Interchangeable at times.
A little bit. The Dance Macabre. Also, Zagitova was in Toronto last week. It's unclear if she's using Jeff Buttle, Lori Nickel, or Shea, but she's using someone for a program. I imagine they're like,
hold on. You totally just froze. You froze. Tell me again.
Zagitova was in Toronto. Okay. She was vague booking. There was a lot of vague booking this week on Instagram. Vincent always vague books about Gracie, but it was a vague post about Zagitova because she was in Toronto. She was going to Hall of Fames for hockey and things like that, but obviously she's probably getting choreography, and because that's why you'd be in Toronto, unless you're getting...
One would think, yeah.
I don't think she flew from Russia to Toronto to get skates, so maybe they are heating off the criticism of all the Danny G choreography, and they're using another person. I imagine maybe Shea or Jeff Buttle would do their programs, and then I don't know what they would. Are they going to keep the choreography? Are they going to iterate it anyway? But then be like, look, we gave you the choreographer you wanted. Shut up. But all right, we are back. It was bad Rochester internet, which I don't think the internet's much better in Ithaca. I mean, when Karen Chen...
Oh my God, Dave.
When Karen Chen...
Here he goes again.
When Karen Chen is going to try and be FaceTiming with Tammy, I mean, there are mountains, there are lakes, there's... Let me tell you.
She's going to freeze. Her internet connection is going to freeze.
It's a different pace. You're back in time up there, okay?
In the Ice Age, it feels like. But okay, what were you going to say? Zagitova was in Toronto. I don't know. That would be a big admission of defeat if they then went to a non-Russian choreographer, as we know.
Oh, I think it's like a middle finger, being like, look, we're giving you what you want, people. Stop your bitching. But...
See, I don't know. I think they're resting on their laurels now because they won.
No. He said that they were going to stop doing war horses for Zagitova this season because of what the... Danny G made that comment. But do you think that they will... And apparently Averbuk is going to work with Evgenia again in the short program. So they're... But anyway, with Zagitova, how many competitions do you actually think she'll skate this season?
Oh, unfortunately, she strikes me as... again, I do like her. Mm-hmm. But she strikes me as someone who would not bail. So she will try. So anything she is assigned, I see her going, and even if it's a tough skate, she'll do it.
But there were all those quotes about Worlds, how they had to force her to the rink at the end. I mean, this just didn't seem like the kind of positive momentum that you would hope for, especially with Trusova skating.
But notice she still went there even though she didn't want to. Like, that's the thing. I feel like whatever she's assigned, she will be forced to go. It doesn't matter what she wants to do or not. And it may be tough to watch, but she's going to do it.
But I think she's on borrowed time. I'm just telling you. Borrowed time.
I think so, too.
Also,
especially...
Tarakanova is no longer going to be an angel of Plushenko, it seems like. Or he's officially not going to be her head coach. So, that's...
Well, that seemed like there was a cap to how long that could last.
It seems like they have no real head coach in that rink. It's just...
And she had showed some improvements on the Grand Prix, but...
doesn't the Angels of Plushenko seem like the greatest publicity stunt of all time? I mean, it just seems like we are getting...
Yeah. Well, the Angels of Plushenko, that was like when he did his Carmen opener and he looked like Charlie's Angels. Maybe that's how it's all connected in a way. I think that's what it is. Okay.
Also, let's touch on Meagan and Bruno's situation in Oakville.
Yeah, this is exciting, right?
I think it is. It's a big shift because, remember, we didn't see Bruno in the Kiss and Cry at the World Championships.
Right.
And we kind of thought something was up, but they kind of didn't.
Well, we also knew Canada was only allowed to send one coach, weren't they?
Yes. Right, but come on. They could have paid for it. They could have paid to go. But I imagine, don't you think that Richard probably knew that Bruno was leaving to go with Meagan? Because they had gone down to Florida. I think it was not a very well-kept secret. I imagine they knew. I mean, we don't know. That's why he wasn't at the Worlds. But yeah. It just seems like they're officially moving on, which makes sense. Now that Meagan is going to have a baby and she really wants to get into coaching and she's not taking the Thank You Canada money, she is moving on with her life. So I imagine that this now we're looking at which teams are going to go to Toronto, to Oakville, and which ones are going to stay with Richard. And the only one that I think we know that are probably with Richard, it sounds like Luba and Charlie are going to be him because they made it clear in that video with French-Canadian whatever that they were going to, it was Richard who was going to coach them. And I think that Kirsten and Michael, I would imagine they're going with Bruno. And I don't know who Camille and Drew would go with because I think there was like a schooling thing there. But I kind of think that Meagan and Bruno are the younger, more current coaches. I think you would probably make... It sounds like Oakville is where people are kind of gravitating towards.
Shifting for a new generation and sort of a new era of coaching. Because Richard is the old guard, right? Yeah, Richard, I've never quite maybe understood. Obviously, I'm not a pair girl, but like... I don't know if the technique seems as sound there as it seems to come from Bruno and Meagan. I think it would be probably my choice.
I think Richard uses the older school technique, and they're Bruno and Meagan are more current in terms of the IJS.
Well, but gosh, don't you even remember when Linda Franier was talking about how Frank had to adjust the technique because people started doing triples and all that sort of stuff. With what's happening in pairs, it does seem like KMT stuck sometimes technically in a different era. Yeah. And I would think that so important to be so current with all that now.
So the technique that really changes is the twist technique and the throw technique. Those are the two techniques that really...
throw, I see, yeah.
Yeah. So, and how they do the throws, that all changes. So that's going to be a shift in Canadian skating for sure, where everyone is going. I imagine Lee Barkell could be a good person to bring in to Oakville because... if he could help with the jumps, I think that would be an ideal person to bring in there. He was Meagan's coach, actually, when she was a singles skater. So I think, look, Lee has probably reached the apex of his singles coaching career. He was with Jeff Buttle when he had a world champion. He's been at the cricket club. He's had Gabby Daleman win a world medal. I think it would make sense for him to kind of join on a new coaching team and a system with pairs, collect that money, and just kind of let someone else do the heavy lifting. I think Oakville would make sense for him. But also go to the Granite Club if you're ambitious makes sense. But I think sometimes...
Who would you send up there? Would you send any of the American teams up there?
Yes, I would. But,
yeah, I would too.
Even if it's just for splitting for half the year... I think it would make sense. I always thought that Alexa and Chris should have trained with the other teams a little bit, at least for a month or two, just to be around that atmosphere and get things. I think, so Mervin and Olivia are going to be in Muncie in Sportorama, which is where Kyoko Ina and Jason used to train when Yuka Sato was up here, Elaine Zayak, Michael Chak, that used to be a hub, and it's kind of amusing that they're going there, because if you go in the rink, it's a little bit stuck back in time, the lobby hasn't really been updated. It's the same old Miss Pac-Man machine. But it needs a coat of paint. But they're going to be in the old Sportorama rink in Muncie with Jason Briggs, who was in the 92 Olympics, an American. He went to high school with my good friend Tara, or middle school, but he represented the UK. And he was one of the original country hoppers. He had citizenship for there and represented them, a Peterborough's boy. So I think... he'll be kind of overseeing them. Olivia is from New York. That's why they're going there. And Mervin has to be really more of a U.S. person to get...
Yeah, I would think that's pretty tricky. Yeah.
You have to... It's called logging hours. You have to really make it seem like
spend so much time. Yeah.
So I imagine that he will be here. Probably he's like Bruno Marcotte's son. So I imagine they will always be connected and... involved, coaching-wise, but I think that's why. And they're probably not in California because her family is probably back in New York, saving money and just kind of regrouping. And then Kyoko Ina is still based, she works for U.S. Figure Skating, but obviously she trained at that rink. She lives close by. They can bring her in. It makes kind of sense for them as they move forward. So,
I mean, it was unfortunate their national situation this year for a number of reasons, but I don't know. Do you see that they're going to be a relevant team?
They have the potential to. I think she's young. He has to get citizenship. The only thing that worries me about Mervin is that he's just had a number of concussions. But I think he's so talented and a pretty
clearly,
they have the jumps. I think it's about really gelling as a pair. I mean, that kind of shows you the fact that Deanna and Nate medaled their first year that they were together after 6 months. That's impressive. Because you see Mervin and Olivia did not have that same result at Nationals. But they are a team that does have the same kind of potential. So I would be curious to see who they're going. It just seems like everything is
a shifting of the guard.
Shifting of the guard. So, a lot of randomness this week, Jonathan. It's just been...
Exactly. Well, it's all these kinds of bits of news and cosmic shifts start happening now.
Yeah.
With these different locations becoming centers like that.
Yeah.
So talk to me about Patreon.
Patreon, we have more things coming up. We are releasing our men's coverage. We are going to be judging the 92 Olympics ladies event, 91 Worlds.
My first heartbreak.
All around for gymnastics I will be judging. We're also going to be judging the 94 pairs. And Jonathan, we just got a request for 91 Trophy La Ligue with Midori Ito, Christy Yamaguchi. And the person hasn't said if we're doing, like, are we going to do... I was wondering if we should do it half this and that, half, which we've kind of been doing a little bit, where we kind of give our commentary and our judging. But I was wondering, should we talk about all disciplines? Because it was the Olympic test event. I think we need to...
Well, and the nice thing is, a Trophy La Ligue is not... there aren't as many skaters.
Yeah,
that's
so I think we should
bring in... We only need to... Yeah.
Because I think Kurt Browning was at that event in 91. So I was thinking that we should
I'd have to go revisit that specific one.
I think we should do the top from a couple of the disciplines to just really hammer it out. I think Miskuchanika, Dmitriev were there. I think that's what the people are going to want. They're going to want the high-level overview of the event. So I'll have to talk about the person who requested.
Now let's make a plea. Let's make a plea to the viewers. If anyone knows how to get a hold of Tanya Harding's Grand Prix assignment from 93 before the Olympics, where was that? NHK? There has never been footage of it.
I mean, she did have the Skate America.
And I think seeing...
But she had another one. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, she had one in Japan that we didn't hear about, or there is no video of.
Oh,
so
I made it through a couple minutes of her on Worst Cooks this week, and then I had to turn it off because I just couldn't take it. But there are a couple really annoying people on that show. But it was a funny thing with her and the actor we were talking about, who was the Asian guy that was on...
Right.
The overactor, as he called himself, the overacting Asian, who was on Desperate Housewives of Eva Longoria. He said, there was a whole thing, they were like doing a Fear Factor or Survivor type thing where like they have to answer trivia and the person who loses has to eat something gross, right? Like has to eat like a snail or something like that. And he beat Tanya about brioche. Tanya thought it was a brooch that you wear on your...
Oh my God, I'm obsessed. Okay. Yeah.
So then she had to eat something and she gave him like a dirty look and he goes, oh great, I'm on Tanya's bad side. And I gasped. But then of course they didn't touch it, right? Like they didn't go there, but he went there without really...
Yeah, without really going there. That's pretty funny.
So I was
Is she coming across likable?
I like her. I think she's a great reality show contestant. Okay. You know what it is that Tanya is not smart enough to put on an act for anyone, so she's just her authentic self. And everyone else on the show is kind of putting on a persona to make sure that they have airtime. And Tanya being herself is kind of hysterical. Because she's just
because you know when someone's being honest about who they are, and it doesn't even matter what they're showing you, but you just respond to, you're like, oh, okay, I'm here for this, because I know she's giving me the real response. Yeah,
like there's something likable about her, and she doesn't know how to put on a persona, and it doesn't come across as effective.
Yeah.
Remember those interviews where she was trying to seem likable in 94 and she was trying to hug people? I mean, that was kind of hilarious.
Yeah,
but
because that was a bit forced. She had been overcoached. Excuse me, not in skating, obviously, but in her media presentation. So, yeah, I think, okay, that's good to know.
Good to know, right? I'm here for it.
The more you know. Exactly.
Da, 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 da.
Star, yeah.
Well, everyone, what do you think about all of these moves, coaching changes, music choices? What shoe is going to drop next? I mean, who should go to the Toyota Center? What high-level coach?
Oh, two things. One was we were hearing those rumblings about CBC reducing coverage of figure skating for next season. I don't know if that was just rumor or if that was actually a legitimate thing. And what was someone talking about when they were talking about Shoma training at like this new secret rink without his coach?
I didn't know what that meant at all, and I wasn't really sure. But the other thing, Caitlin Osmond announced her retirement, but I in my mind she was already retired. Like it was clear that she wasn't competing again.
Unfortunately, it lost momentum. If she had done that after the world title and retired, I feel like there could have been a lot of fun, big news for her.
She was clearly not going to again. But again, Canadians will make a huge deal about this. This is all she has. And again, with any, not all they have, this is look, when anyone retires.
She was the best hope for Canada. Even an out-of-shape Caitlin Osmond is the best hope for Canada.
But clearly, she's been to 2 Olympics. She won the world. She has 2 Olympic medals. Like, time to, skate off.
And overcome so many injuries and, tough circumstances. So, girl, enjoy that retirement.
Remember, she was getting those, blood injections at one point because she had, a really gnarly injury, too. Like, a hamstring or something. It was... Look, she has done it.
Yeah.
You have done your career. This is respect.
You have done your duty for your country. Yeah,
but the funniest thing is that, I don't know about you, but we never studied Canadian geography in school. Like, we drew the map in 5th grade of the U.S. states, and we spent all that time, and Canada was just like a one blob. Above it just said Canada.
It was just like evenly divided.
We didn't draw the provinces. We didn't know what was in what. We didn't care. But they said in the announcement that she wants to go into broadcasting, continue skating, obviously in shows, and help build skating in Newfoundland. And I was like, oh, that's nice. Where's Newfoundland? And I had to kind of think, I'm like...
Halifax, 1991, World Championships.
1990. I'm like, wait, British Columbia. Is
or 90,
the West or the East? I'm like, wait, I think that's that little peninsula that goes... It's like, oh, yeah. But their point was is that you don't really know Canadian geography. It's just the Great White North. It's all just cold.
It's just up there.
It's just up there. It's up there with PJ Kwong. I don't know, okay? Maybe PJ can take us on a tour through Canada.
You'll always remember British Columbia because I go to UBC, which is University of British Columbia, which is always in Vancouver. So that one's an easy one to remember.
That's on the West Coast.
West Coast, because of the Vancouver Olympics. Then, you've got that one down.
And that's where Patrick Chan is, sort of having that skating school, or was, or wasn't.
Sort of, and then was and wasn't, yeah. And then, of course, you got Quebec. You got your bookends.
Well, I like Quebec. I love the French Canadiens.
It's très bien, très bien. Wah, wah. And when everyone's like, you have to eat those French fries with the gravy, I was like, I don't have to do anything. Thank you very much.
I've had them, and they are good, but they are not on the diet. Okay, I'm starting my cleanse on Monday.
And if I was going to do something that bad, I'd do something else, like a whole Carvel ice cream cake or something.
Ben & Jerry's. Are you kidding? That's my pleasure.
Okay, I like Cookie Puss. Okay.
Cookie Puss. What?
That's the name of the character that's an ice cream cake for Carvel. You got to get to know your ice cream cakes, Dave.
Well, then where's Fudgy the Whale? My friend loves a Fudgy the Whale cake. Which is that Dairy Queen, Fudgy the Whale?
Oh, I don't know, DQ. No, I'm totally joking, as if there was a difference. No, I don't know.
Someone can answer, who is Fudgy the Whale? I'm not so sure, but anyway.
That's the final question. Will Karen like Ithaca area, and where the hell is Fudgy the Whale from?
And is anyone watching Veep? That's the real... I know everyone's crying that Game of Thrones is ending, but what about Veep ending? That's what I care about. What else are you upset about? Holy gosh, and look sexy. And congratulations to Jenny Kirk for graduating! Woo! Yes. All right. Bye, guys. Jonathan, guess what Hubbell and Donohue are skating to this season? It's not... I would say that it's not completely unexpected.
For the free or for the rhythm dance?
For the free. And I'm just going to save this because I don't know if it's official yet, but I'm just seeing it via text message. Think about what was a really hot movie about kind of like a rough around the edges guy and a girl who's more mainstream poppy.
No, stop it. Not Julia Stiles.
No. They are skating. They are skating to A Star is Born, and do you think it's shallow?
Yes.
And how do you feel about it?
Dave, you know how I feel.
Exactly.
So I guess enjoy your bronze repeater at Worlds ago.
Oh man, I think it maybe. I liked the song at the time.
Do you want to just mail Jules in the medal, or what are you doing?
I mean, okay, so I liked it. Okay, here's the thing with pieces like that. I think when a movie comes out the previous winter, and then it you want to skate to it because it feels current, you relate to it.
It's too late.
Yeah, you got to do it as your exhibition at that year's Worlds. You do it and on tour. I think by the time you get to next season, the moment is past. The moment is gone. It is, and then everyone is using it. When the novice ladies have outdone it, it is just time to go.